everybody. Welcome back to the GC podcast, where we explore the future of work, community, and everything in between. I'm your host, Liz Elam, and today I am joined by Magda Al-Nugaidi, Managing Director at Uncommon, one of the UK's most forward-thinking co-working brands. Magda will also be speaking at GCUC, where she'll share her perspective on designing for a new generation of workers. In this conversation, we'll dive into how Uncommon is reimagining the workspace through design, culture, and hospitality, and why these shifts matter so much. Well, welcome to the Juicy Podcast, Magda. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me, Liz. This is very exciting.
We are so happy to have you on the Juicy Podcast. And I asked this question of all of my folks that join the Juicy Podcast. I wanted to ask you what your morning routine is like. I have figured out that I think it's really important how you set your day. And I've gotten really, really focused on getting up early so that I can do my readings and do my meditations. And I'm super curious how you start your day.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think my mornings are very important to me because I feel that in the morning, it's my calm time. So it is really creating that calm moment before the day takes over. So I'm very lucky to live by the river. And as I am a very keen rower, most of my days, like today, start with a session on the river. I think it's a great way to stay fit for me, but it's also something really that grounds me, especially being on the water first thing in the morning, the stillness of the water, seeing the sunrise like today. Sometimes it's the mist, which was also this morning. I feel that it's just such a great reset for both my mind and my body. And after that, I typically head to one of our locations at Uncommon for my coffee and breakfast. It has become a little bit of my morning ritual. So not just necessarily the coffee itself, but really soaking up the atmosphere. So sitting in our lovely spaces, taking a moment before really the day takes over. And that first thing in the morning, like it just feels like an extension to my morning exercise. And whilst I'm there, I usually try to jot down the 3 key priorities for the day. So not a huge list of to-do activities, just a few points that I really want to move forward in that day. I think it gives me clarity and keeps me from getting lost in the small stuff during the day. And I think it's the time without any distractions. And I absolutely agree, Liz, that the way you start the morning really sets the tone for whatever happens during the day. And for me, it's starting with an intention rather than rushing into my phone, emails, or calls straight away.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely brilliant. And I am crazy jealous because I live in the suburbs in Austin, Texas, with no access to a beautiful, cold, misty river. That just sounds absolutely amazing to me. I used to really, I still enjoy kayaking. I just don't get to do it enough. But getting out on the water is just absolutely fantastic. And I agree, it's very grounding. I watched a whole documentary on grounding, and I now have like a grounding pad under my desk. I have grounding sheets. I really love grounding.
Similar.
So,
I actually,
bravo.
I've recently also invested in a grounding sheet for my bed, which I find absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I think there's really something to it. So there you go, guys.
Mhm.
Everybody go watch that documentary on grounding. It's amazing. And also, one of the things I have a friend whose father recently was put into a wheelchair, and I'm like, you got to ground him. Like the grounding really helps with folks that can't touch the ground. And I thought that was so amazing. And she immediately went and got him one, and hopefully it helps him. So I'm curious, what first drew you over to the world of co-working and Uncommon?
So I've been at Uncommon and actually in the industry. So that was that. This has been my first role in the industry for just over 7 years now. And I think for me, when I first came across the co-working flexible office industry, I realized that it was a mix of 2 things that I'm really fascinated or passionate about. So I've always been fascinated by environment. So how the spaces we spend time in affect our mood, our energy, or even our confidence. And alongside that, I've always had a real passion for hospitality, and that's actually my background. So creating experiences where people feel genuinely cared for and really special. And that's why I thought that our industry is very much about bringing those two passions together. And it felt like a really natural fit. It is about building spaces and experiences that make people feel very comfortable, supported, but also really inspired and special. And at the same time, when I came across Uncommon, and what drew me to Uncommon in particular was the focus on client experience. So really caring about all the small detail, but also prioritizing the environmental impact, which is very aligned to my personal values. I feel that Uncommon is not just about beautiful interiors. I mean, we're 100% focused on the design, and we are very focused and passionate about it. But we're thinking about it from a perspective of why those interiors matter. So it's for us about well-being, about comfort, building community, and making sure that both our clients as well as our team feel that every day. And for me, the client experience and the team experience are equally critical because to me, they are both completely connected. So a simple example is the way we approach our shared spaces, let's say. They're designed not only for our clients to enjoy, but also for our team to really be proud of and also feel comfortable in. So when the team feels at home and they love their environment, I believe that that hospitality element really naturally flows into how they interact with our clients. And I feel that this is where the real magic happens. And we try to do that on a day-to-day basis as Uncommon. And I still love it as much as I did when I first came across it.
Oh, I love hearing that. Yeah, the design on Uncommon is absolutely stunning, and I love all the plants and all the touches. I remember really well when I was looking at the Holborn space last fall, like there's these beautiful soft curtains that can go around certain spaces, and it's just absolutely stunning and fantastic natural light. And I know you guys have a real focus on sustainability as well. And you see that in the design, which is fantastic. I find the brands that do the best job of the sustainability aren't ones that have a sustainability focus. It's just part of their DNA. And it's clear that it's part of y'all's DNA. And so at GCUK, you're speaking about designing for a new generation. What does that like mean in practice for you? What is it do you think these younger generations are really looking for in a workspace?
Um, yeah, I think when we talk about designing for the new generation of workers, I think it's really about recognizing how much expectations have changed. Um, I think people don't really want the old model of 9 to 5 at a fixed desk, potentially under really harsh lighting. I think what they're looking for is more of a choice and a good balance and a purpose. So in practice, that means that the design of offices need to be a lot more dynamic. So you need quiet spots to focus, open areas where teams can really collaborate and come together, and more relaxed spaces when people want to pause or have maybe informal conversations. Well-being is really central to this too. So bringing the natural light, greenery you mentioned, but also like good acoustics, even thinking about the sound and scent, because those things really affect how people feel in a space. And I think it's really crucial that now we also take into consideration neurodiversity when designing spaces, because not everybody experiences the workplace in the same way. So some people thrive in really busy and buzzy environments, and some others will need more of calm and controlled spaces. And I think that by offering variety, so different lighting, different acoustic options, clearly defined zones, you create conditions where everyone can find what really works for them. And I think that there is a big shift in seeing the office as a place where work gets done, and instead is being seen as an experience. And that literally could mean that wellness spaces, fitness, the cultural and social activities woven into the day to day. So things that can make people really want to come into the office rather than feeling they have to.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny. I feel like I weave into every single conversation I have the loneliness epidemic, but like these are also spaces where people need to come to feel connection and belonging, right? Because we have such a loneliness epidemic. And I personally, I'm in my home office right now, but I go to co-working spaces because I don't like to be home alone. And I'm here all the time. Like I want to go somewhere where I can have a
Mhm.
conversation or learn about a new app or join an event or try something new. Like it's just so critical to the future of our future generations to have a place where people can come and connect. And if you think about it, like even in the past when people were going to offices, that's where you meet people. That's where the office romance happens. So I
Mhm.
think that these spaces where people feel connection and belonging are pivotal to the future generations.
100%. And I think that last element that you mentioned, that sense of belonging, that's just so much what we're hearing at the moment from our clients. So very often, we've got at the point of, having a viewing of one of our offices, we've got, maybe in the past we had more of the role of a finance director or a real estate director coming in to view the property for their company. Whereas these days, we're definitely seeing more of the human resource directors coming in and really assessing whether our spaces will be the right environment for their teams to thrive in and to really feel that they belong into the business, but also actually into the environment. So we're definitely hearing more and more around that.
Hey there, if you're in the co-working and flex space industry, or even just curious about it, you need to be at Juicy. We've got 2 amazing events lined up for you. First up, GCUC, happening this October in London. Tickets are on sale now and the lineup is looking incredible. Can't make it across the pond? No problem, we've got you covered. GCUSA 2026 is headed to New York City and we'd love to see you there. At both events, you can expect expert-led sessions, small group roundtables, a vendor expo, and non-icky networking. We've got drinks, dinners, after-hour hangouts, and tours of the coolest co-working spaces in town. It's where the future of work meets real human connection. So, what are you waiting for? Head over to juicy.co to grab your ticket today. We'll save you a seat.
Yeah, for sure. And how is Uncommon approaching design differently these days? Can you share an example of something that's really impacted member experience for you guys?
Sure. And I think for us, as much as we absolutely care about the aesthetics and how things look, we try to put a lens of how will the space make people feel rather than just how will it look. And with that, I think a lot of the way that we approach how the design then works changes. And our key differences are mainly around the fact that we own our buildings. So that means we can really invest in them, not only from an ESG standpoint or from quality perspective, but also in how we shape the client experience. So we intentionally create an abundance of communal spaces because that's where the community thrives. So typically in our locations, you will always see the cafe that is really in the heart of our locations. And we've also learned a huge amount over the last few years by opening new buildings, um, what our clients really want. And because we own our spaces, we can act on that and that feedback really is taken into consideration. And a couple of recent example, and I think at the beginning you mentioned that you visited our Holborn space where I am right now.
Hmm.
So over here, we've opened a dedicated wellness studio. We've built also more individual and quiet booths and areas for that focus time. And we've recently just launched a parenting room, so where young parents can feel a bit comfortable, have more of a private and supportive spaces. And I think these touches make a real difference to people's daily experiences.
Yeah, absolutely. That space is stunning. And one of the things I love is so many people, in my opinion, don't put in enough communal space because that is where the community happens. And, they're always looking at the, dollars per square foot and they're like, oh, we could jam 5 more offices in there. But they're not paying attention to the community. And if all you have is just a bunch of closed rooms, it's nearly impossible to have community. So bravo on that because a lot of people get held up on that and don't do that and aren't willing to have enough communal space. And you guys are great about that. Um, so what role do you think hospitality and community are going to play in the workspace of the future?
I'd say that both of those, hospitality and community, are really at the heart of this. And I think I would go as far as saying that a modern workspace simply cannot exist without hospitality. And if you think about like why people leave their homes to come to a workspace, it's not really for the desk, because they probably have that at home. It's most likely
Mhm.
for the experience and something you've mentioned as well, right? It's that sense of community. It's that having an opportunity to connect with somebody during the day. And when it comes to like that hospitality element, we all want to feel looked after and we want to feel something bigger. And hospitality is about those small details that make people feel really valued, that warm welcome, really amazing coffee on or really thoughtful service that they've just received. So that's something that is absolutely critical. And I think community, and as we mentioned already, is about creating that network and growing the connections, um, collaboration, building friendships, and I think together those two they make the workspace very human. And I think people might be drawn initially, most certainly when I think about Uncommon, they might be drawn initially to our design and the facilities because they are so beautiful and because there is the amenities and the facilities are fantastic. Um, but I truly believe that what makes them stay is the sense of belonging and that relationship they formed, and not only with our team, but actually with other members in our spaces. So I think in the future, the most successful workspace spaces will be the ones that feel less like an office and more like a place where you really belong.
I love that, and I couldn't agree more. And I feel like the new tagline should be, um, "Join for the design, stay for the community."
I think I might steal that,
Um,
Liz.
so with hybrid work really shaping how people use space, what design elements do you see as kind of non-negotiable going forward?
Yeah, I think firstly it's flexibility. So spaces have to adapt to different ways of working, as we've already said. You can't just have rows of desks anymore. You need focus rooms, collaborative areas, social zones, quiet zones, and the ability to shift in between them quite easily. I think secondly, it would be well-being. So that, the basic is to include ergonomic furniture, natural light, acoustics that allow for privacy, and a layout that actually reduces stress rather than adds to it. So people will choose spaces that make them feel good physically and mentally. And I think the third thing is absolutely seamless technology. So a lot of people are still working in a hybrid manner. So some will be in the room, some will be dialing in. And as soon as something isn't quite working or the tech is not quite there, it just causes frustration. If it's clunky, people will disengage. And I think finally, we've also briefly mentioned that. I think sustainability is another element. I definitely feel that people are far more conscious about the environmental impact of the spaces that they choose. They want to know what materials we use. They want to know where the furniture comes from. So I think, in short, the extras of the past, like comfort, flexibility, well-being, are now the absolute essentials.
100%. I have been like preaching from the juicy stage for years that, we have to be paying attention to mental health and we have to be paying attention to what's happening in the environment. And the way we can do that is through sustainability, right? It's making conscientious decisions that are good for the environment. And yeah, I think you just absolutely nailed that. No notes.
Thank
um,
you.
so, what are you most excited to share from the stage at Juicy?
So perhaps without revealing too much too soon, um, I think I'm just really excited to be able to talk about how design isn't just a backdrop. That it's something that is a key player in shaping culture and well-being of any company. I think I'd like to share how design isn't just aesthetics. So, from our perspective, it's a strategy. And if we use it well, we can create workspaces where people feel healthier, people feel more creative, more connected. And I think that's the message that I'm extremely passionate about.
I love it. I love it. And, I always I often point out that Uncommon was one of the first spaces that I looked at when, so during the pandemic, I figured out that we were in the wrong genre, I would say, and that everybody was calling us in real estate. And yes, real estate is incredibly important, but it's a point in time decision, right? You kind of make the real estate decision and then it's made. What we do every day is hospitality. So when I started doing my research, one of the first companies I looked at was Uncommon. And you guys were one of the very few that it was already identified as hospitality and not real estate. There was only a tiny handful. Now we've managed to get the vast majority into hospitality on LinkedIn, but it was before everybody was real estate. But Uncommon was the one that was always in hospitality. And I think that's very telling. You guys knew very early exactly where you belonged.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for us, it's the interaction with our members on a day-to-day basis. That is hospitality. The the real estate is really the backdrop and maybe a bit of a foundation that we are building on. But
Mhm.
ultimately, it is about how our clients feel in our spaces and what service and what experience they receive on a day-to-day basis. So, and the same goes really for our team, right? So it's equally important to us when our team comes in, when our team is in our spaces, that they are equally enjoying the spaces, but they are equally looked after as well. So for
I
us, it
love
was
that.
always about how do we all feel about being in this place, and how do our clients feel?
Yeah, I love that you're paying attention to not only the members but also the team members. That's just so brilliant and so smart. So, believe it or not, we're almost out of time. So, I'm going to go to my new very juicy closing question that's a little offbeat. This was one Stormy wanted me to try out. So, to close, is there anything on your heart that you're dying to share or a topic related or not? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, so it's not necessarily something that is on my heart that I'd like to share, but there is something that is happening at Uncommon that I'm very keen to share with all the listeners in case they wanted to pop over, because there is an opportunity to come and see us in our Holborn location. We are actually running our second networking festival, and that's going to be on the 2nd of October. And we've got some brilliant workshops planned. We've got some really interesting speakers, and of course, in true Uncommon style, also networking drinks. And I think it's a brilliant opportunity to connect with our clients, meet new people, and really experience our spaces and actually see what Uncommon is about. So the event is absolutely free to attend, but spaces are fairly limited. So if anybody would like to grab a spot, the best way is to check out our Instagram or LinkedIn pages. So yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
I love it. We'll also share that in the show notes. So you can just click on the show notes and you can hit a direct link so you can join what sounds like a fabulous networking event.
Brilliant. Thank you, Liz.
Well, Magda, thank you so much for joining me. And you guys, I'm going to come clean. We recorded this last week and I had a snafu and did not hit record. And Magda has been so generous to re-record it with me a second time. So just wanted to publicly say what a gracious and lovely guest she has been. And I am indebted to her.
Liz, thank you so much for having me.
Of course. And I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Well, by the time this airs, it won't be 2 weeks. But anyway, you guys know what I'm saying. Come to GCUK. So this wraps up today's episode of the Juicy Podcast. Huge thank you to Magda for joining me and giving us a glimpse into Uncommon's approach to workplace design and community. If you want to hear more from Magda, don't miss her live on stage at GCUK. Tickets are available now at uk.gc.co. They'll also be in the show notes. This is your chance to be part of the conversation shaping the future of work. Don't have FOMO. Go. Please like and follow the Juicy Podcast for more exciting conversations. I'm Liz Elam. It's been my pleasure to be your host.